This is Rick Morgan. I call myself your friendly neighborhood comic book scientist. I want to talk a little bit about cleaning Golden Age book. In this case, it's Superman number 4. This book needed a lot of TLC. It has some. It still has some tape on the cover. It looks like this. There's some tape here that I couldn't get off easily. It was going to tear, so I left it. It's very moldy to the point that you really couldn't breathe around it. Pages were pretty brittle. The cover is torn up. You know, it's in poor shape, but we did the best we could. Now, what did I do? Well, first of all, here's a before and after picture of the front and of the back. You can see there's a little bit of color loss on one end of his cape, and on the right of the little blue area. I don't know if it's showing in the photo here. You can see that there's a little bit of the blue area. So I stopped as soon as I saw that, of course. But it was necessary to get some of the massive staining out of the book. The process was one that I killed the ozone and then wiped it with Immacuclean. I wiped it to get the mold off with Immacuclean. I have a previous video on that, so I'm not going to show it in detail, but I will go over the photos and talk about them in a moment. And that helped get a lot of the mold off. And then the book was generally just very, very dirty. Here's a picture of just 1/4, so the inside of the back page, the dirt that came out of the book in 11 minutes of washing in my washing machine. And that was a lot of dirt came out of the book, and that helped because I couldn't have just gone right to the blue light and peroxide from there without moving it, because that dirt casts a shadow. It makes a very uneven blue lighting effect in my experience, and it also, the light ends up penetrating the book further when you've cleaned it first, and then the pages return. They're more supple. The thing you have to watch for is there's a shrinking of the cover if you heat dry it at all. So Jerry the Jitterbug, if you've never seen his videos, he has a great explanation where he takes a book, he puts some remade paper that is puts the cover in between them and just sets that on top of it with some paper towels first. It comes back and just smashes it under some thick glass until it dries naturally. I let it dry to the touch, and then in this case I pressed it in my press at ambient temperature for overnight, and opened it the next day with a piece of, I just did silicone paper on top and bottom, and that did the trick too. It just prevents it from shrinking too much. This one still did shrink a little bit after I got it really wet, but it was a minimal, maybe a 32nd of an inch. But you can see in the rest of it, you can see the other pictures. A couple more before and afters here I'll show you, and then I'll get started and review my images and video. And here's a little sneak peek of the book as well. Something that's kind of fun about this book is it has Lex Luthor in it before he's bald, and he is flying this sort of super stratofortress plane, and Superman, this is a pre-flight Superman, is racing it across the ocean on foot. He's not flying yet, and he jumps up to the plane, through this stratosphere, but he doesn't make it. He plummets back to Earth, and he lands because he's, again, not flying. But yeah, it's really just a kind of a fun story, and the ads are fun too. It has this spot in here where there's a kid a little bit here that, here we go, attaining super strength. He needs to eat cereals and milk, lots of regular exercise, and his matronly mother here is overfeeding him, and he sees some kid picking on another kid saying Santa, he just runs up and he just belts him like right in the face, just boom. And he says, "Golly, Tommy, how'd you do it?" He goes, "It's the Superman in me," So it's just kind of it's just fun old style ads to see the cars and the dress and the people from the late 30s and early 40s. It's just really fun to see this old book. I really enjoyed working on it and with it. So what did I do exactly? Well, what I did was, step one, put it in my Immacucube, the larger one with the ozone generator connected to it. It was a Poseidon 935, I think. I let it go overnight, and that was about 12 hours of ozone treatment, purged with a little tiny aquarium fish pump on it. And after I had killed the mold, I wiped it down with Immacuclean on the outside cover, the inside cover, the first page inside and back. Got a lot of the mold off of it. I let it dry, and then I did again, more Immacuclean, and I gave it another, wasn't quite as long, maybe 4 hours of ozone treatment, and let it sort of degas over the weekend, get the ozone smell out of it. Killed most of the mold, smelled a lot better. Cover was already off. This book was just barely hanging on there. I was going to give it a light and peroxide treatment, but noticed that it was very, very dirty to the touch, to the point that it was getting my hands dirty. Smelled pretty bad. Started to wash it, and I washed it in my washing machine. I have a little bit of a video clip here for you there, and a photo, and that was only like 26 minutes. And then so I washed it with a little tiny bit, like 0.1 gram per liter of this dry Immacuclean I was working on in the solution as well. So it wasn't just DI water, so DI water and a little bit of this dry Immacuclean, because it can over foam, it foams too much. And 11 minutes on the front and 15 minutes on the back. So it was, and that was flipping around both. Not much, but a lot of dirt. The water was really dirty. And then I allowed the book to dry the touch, air dry, on it was a piece of like a drying rack, like a cookie sheet that I have. I probably have a picture of that I should find and post. I'm having trouble with my photo library now, so I don't have all the pictures I want. And then just almost to the touch, they put it flat in my 9x12 press, and I put a piece of silicone paper on top and bottom. Remade paper would have been better. Didn't have any on me at the time. Put it under low pressure overnight. Opened it the next morning. It was still a little bit damp, so I just worked with it there, but it helped prevent it from shrinking too much. Then I put it in my blue light box for probably about 3 or 4 hours. I sprayed it a couple times with 6% peroxide. I think it was a total of 4 hours in the box itself. So I put about 2 hours on the front, and I flipped it over to 2 hours on the other side. I opened up the book and did the actual inside of the book, 2 of the pages, just so there wasn't too much of a color mismatch between the inside of the cover and the rest of the book. And so I brightened that up. Then I did a spine roll correction. I put a piece of one of my chamfer boards in the very middle and forced the spine straight because it had been rolled very much, and then pinched it in my, while I was holding it with my hand, I would just held the spine, forced the spine straight, pinched it, smashed it down, just the spine, about an inch of the spine, for about half an hour in my press with the from the book hanging down, and then I put the whole thing in and smashed it flatter. I have a spine roll tutorial on that as well. And then I pressed it at about 60 pounds at 165 degrees for 600 minutes and let it come to ambient temperature, and left it like that for another 2 or 3 hours at ambient temperature, and took it out, and that was it. That's the whole story of that book. It smells a lot better. It's pretty supple. It's around here somewhere. I'll show you. It's right here. You can see the back of the book here, and here's the front of it. And it's a fun book to read now. It's really nice. It was enjoyable to go through, and that's how you do it. That's how I did that particular book this time. It worked out okay. Looks pretty good, I think, and I hope you think so too. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye. Had some requests for some more before and after pictures, so here you go. Here's some of the cover. Let this stand here so you can inspect that a little bit. Here's the moldy section of the book that I talked about earlier. It's the back cover, of course. And here's some images of the inside and front cover, or the inside back cover, this one. And this is the inside front cover, some same areas you can compare. And then here's just one other cover you can check out. So anyway, I hope you enjoy those. Take care. Bye-bye.